I started collecting it first. I saw a piece, a very small piece of sparrow in an auction.
On the third one, actually, I'm more of a skeptic. So, so after they've collected quite a few of them, then I decided to pick one. So I think among all the different pieces, I think gibbons was something that stood out.
When I first started, I actually attended a talk on Chen Wen Hsi. That's when I first saw the squirrel piece. That's where I was captivated by the essence of how the emotional portrayal of the art piece itself is the liveliness of the squirrel. You see something that comes to life that draws me to his artwork. So along the way, as what Nicholas has mentioned, so it's a bit like a peers influence that we kind of everyone get drawn into the same object, a same art piece. Then that's where we started our journey.
Oh. The first time I saw Chen Wen Hsi artwork, I was a bit surprised because it was quite unique in its character. I believe it was a stork picture. So the way I looked at it, it was eye-opening for me because the way his form, the lines, and when I first looked at it, it didn't seem like storks. But as I looked at it more closely, I realized, oh, this is stork. And that was, I think, my first introduction to his style and the Chinese ink work.
我第一次接触到陈文熙的话是很多年前，大概有20多年前吧，就是在那个旧的 CPF Building 看到一张很大张的、很大幅的那个猴子他画的太生动了，还有就是几乎每只猴子都在互动，都在跟猴子们在讲话，所以给我这留下一个很深刻的印象。
I guess the biggest advantage for me is I get to influence brothers which go into things that I like. So while they think that they are pulling resources together, so you get a bit of leverage, right? Okay, you just have to convince them that, oh, this is a good piece. So you kind of convince them to buy in things that you like. And as brothers, I guess the best thing is you get to rotate paintings around. So eventually, after a few years, if you keep looking at the same artwork for 2 to 3 years, you might get a bit tired of it. Then that's where you can trigger like, hey, let's rotate.
I think the biggest advantages is that obviously we are not big bosses or anything. So I think the biggest advantage is that we are able to pool our resources together. There are few pieces that we went in together, so we, contribute a portion to that sum of it, and that allows us to buy into more pieces of Chen Wen Hsi's work or even other artists' work together. The disadvantage, of course, for the three of us to go into to come up with money and buy that specific piece, there must be a general consensus that this is the piece that we all three of us like. And it can be the case whereby, no, the two of us like, or I like, the two of you got to contribute, no such thing. So the disadvantage is that a period whereby there is no consensus, then obviously is, that's where the point where you can't really pool your resources together and buy. So you may go alone, or you may just go with another brother to buy in that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is, I think we more or less set up the mechanism is a consensus view before we entry or exit, right?
Correct.
So that's one thing that we've agreed. The other disadvantage, of course, is that you need to make sure that the paperwork are clear, such that we remember what we bought, how much contribution we made for pieces that we did buy a few years ago, because our memory fails after a few years. The last advantage, I think, is also, importantly, we leverage off each other. I mean, there are some among us who have more time to do the research, and of course, then we leverage on that. Yeah.
The reason that motivates me to collect or attracts me to Chen Wen Hsi's artwork, I think art in general, you can't really pin it down to an identity or an ethnicity or a nationality. It's more universal than that. And the way art speaks to me is a very universal message. It crosses all borders of cultural, ethnicity, nationality, because it touches somewhere deep inside someone's inner being. So art for me speaks that way. So in Chen Wen Hsi's artwork, I think there's a universal way in which he addresses line, form, even color, that's appealing to someone who's sensitive in that area. So I think for me it's more of a universal message of art.
当时第一就是在那个 CPF Building 看到那一幅画然后又去那个 National Gallery 也是看到有陈老师的画，所以又觉得说，哎呀，身为一个新加坡人，而且我也在收画，所以我应该要有一点那个陈文熙老师的画，就开始我的收藏了。
I think the subject matters that really attracts us most is Gibbons. When you see his work on Gibbons, you realize that through years his style permutates or change, evolved. But the thing is that there is always one thing that is similar from the earlier piece to the latest piece, and that is pretty much the spirit within the Gibbons itself, that you can see it from the posture of it, the movement of it, despite the fact it is still a still work, it doesn't move, but the thing is that you feel as if a gibbon is alive and swinging from branches to branches right in front of you. The technicality of it, of course, is another subject matter which I don't think we are any expert to comment on it, but it's that from the very amateur art collective perspective, it is very attractive in a sense where it captures your soul. That's the most important thing as far as we are concerned.
We started collecting gibbons before you even know it, because as you research more, you realize that actually gibbons is found on the $50 notes. Like every one of us, we have been collecting it in a way. It's only when you move into a more deep dive approach and you realize more about this artist, then you start to appreciate the historical aspect of the artwork itself.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a very critical part.
Well, I think my favorite subject matter of Chen Wen Hsi's artwork would be, I thought about this, I think it's the sparrows. Because of their delicateness and the way he handles it in the Chinese ink technique. I think it's very unique because he brings them to life. Actually, he brings all his subjects to life. So for sparrows especially, because it's such a delicate creature and the sensitivity is more acute in terms of the way his hand works with the brush and the ink and the way he's able to actually express that. The creatures come alive in his work, and each of them are individual in their form and position.
I think the key thing is the authenticity of it, because as people may be aware that there is a lot of forgery, of counterfeits, of fake stuff of his artworks in the market. So I think that's the number one priority as far as we are concerned, because the last thing you want is to spend so much money and realize down the road that it is a forgery. That's the nightmare of all art collectors. So for us, I think it is fortunate for us that we have a trusted source to go to, Shopping from Artcommune and probably Johnny from Merlin, yeah. So that serve, I mean, they are the experts in the field. It serve as a background check or at least a source to ascertain the authenticity of it. So for us, before we buy any of the gibbons, be it from, I mean, obviously with these two sources, we have no issues of it. But when we saw good pieces or what we think are good pieces on auctions around, we just want to, run through with Shopping or Johnny to ascertain that, as far as they're concerned, these pieces are genuine, before we even think about moving on the next step, i.e. Putting in bids for it. Yeah, I think for that. That's number one. Number two, of course, is that you got to really like the pieces that's being shown, that you want to buy, you want to collect it, you may want to hang it in a home for years to come, or even pass it down to our children, and so on and so forth.
I guess to me also, in terms of the value, the intrinsic value, is there a significant where you can anchor the value to? So as long as something which is of a signature piece, or something which is of the maybe of a well-known artist, so that will be some of my consideration as well. Yeah.
To me, I think the most critical is it has to be a piece that you enjoy, that you know how to appreciate. You can go around asking 10 different people, giving you 10 different opinions, but at the end of the day, there's only one point that is very important, is you as the collector, or you as the owner, it must be a piece that you appreciate and you like it, and it's something that you want to pass it to the next generation and so on.
其实收画，其实我收画是不久了，就是说我也在学习，就是说，收画跟做人一样，都是一步一步在学习啦，啊，所以收画有时候我们就是，看画跟看艺术品都一样的，先不要给那个大师的名字扣住先，我们要把看画看到觉得自己喜欢的才来去找资料，看这个人是谁，什么东西，价钱是大概在多少，然后我觉得我们适合吗？适合才买，不要为了哇这个是大师的画，我们就哇就不管3721了就跟他买。有时候大师有很多假画，所以要做资料。
I think first support local artists. If you don't support local artists, then down the road, who is going to support us? Because if you don't, it's a small market by itself. But there are very talented people out there, like your first generation of Chen Wen Hsi, the Cheng Shuping, and so on and so forth. And Chen Wen Hsi's work is really worth collecting. It really draws you to it. Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity to own an important piece of the Singapore history, right, during that time. So think about it from 50 years from now, then you have own a valuable piece of the Singapore art history.
I would say you don't really have to start off by going to buy an artwork. You have to start viewing more artwork to know which are the ones that you truly like. It's only true that after you view enough, when the right piece comes along, you'll know that this is a piece that you want to get, and it's a piece that you want to purchase it and then pass it down to the next generation, if that's the objective.
Well, I would say a few words is very difficult to do. But I think if they look at Chinese ink work, Chen Wen Hsi has brought a new dimension, I feel. I believe he's brought a new dimension in that field. And it's important for them to see traditional work, which some people might consider very similar or the same, and which direction Chen Wen Hsi has taken it in his own expression. It's important that they see and understand the difference and the evolution of how he brought it, or the limits where he's taken it. That way it'll give them more of an appreciation of traditional art, as well as what can be done with it, the new forms. And I think Chen Wen Hsi is very important for that.
Another local artist as well. Most of my artworks are from local artists. It went from watercolor works, then slowly to Chen Wen Hsi's, especially the Gibbons, which I love a lot. Then I started to collect Cheng Shuping as well. Then in between, I think there are a few of others artists, the younger artists, whereby it's more contemporary. So it is quite some would say, eclectic, or rather a mixed bag of you collect Chinese brushwork and then contemporary work. So is there something that, and watercolor as well, is there something that you follow through a process? I think as much as I'm concerned, it's not so much a process, but rather your taste starts to get evolved. And once it evolves, certain pieces attract to you, be it contemporary, Gibbons, Chinese traditional, and so on and so forth. There is, for me, I think as one age, your taste, but for food change, your taste for art change as well. Yeah, so I think it would change down the road as well. In fact, these days I'm looking probably some calligraphy works, and at the same time it's more of the pop art as well. Yeah, correct.
I guess for me, to start off with as a child, I never did like Chinese ink, as what most Chinese ink painting are a bit too old school. Like it's something that you don't appreciate. But along the way, as you start doing more and more Chinese ink artwork, it starts to grow on you. It's like something that is very classy. As you go more in depth to understand the artwork, then that's where a certain piece may come to life to you, and you start to appreciate more of the Chinese ink artwork. Because Chinese ink can be more classy or can be more abstract or contemporary depending on the artist.
Actually, to me, I don't think I evolved very far, so I'm still very much with the Chinese ink, and maybe just slightly venturing a bit out to watercolor. That's about it. Yeah.
其实，如果你叫我说，有什么点子的话，就是最主要还是看，不要听人家讲，要做参考，还有就是最重要，买画要买自己喜欢的，不要想说会翻多少倍来赚钱。买画是要买自己喜欢，一张画本身就是要。给你就是给我们一个欣赏而解压，而不是给我们拿来做投资。投资的话当然是每个人都想哇，我要翻多少。可是最重要买画，你要买出来挂，买出来给人家一起分享，而不是说买来投资。你买来投资，你就会一直如果那张画你买不对了，你就一直在那边烦。买画来烦做什么？你干脆买你喜欢的，你每天在那边看，哇，我喜欢这张画，我喜欢这张画，好过你去看，哇，这张画一直没有起。可是这张画的确是好的，而不是差的，只是这一个作者他可能比较低调，没有人去炒作，还是什么啊？买画主要还是你自己喜欢，你自己看得高兴，朋友来都说，这张画不错，这张画不错，啊，一起分享，就是这样，不要为了投资画而买，要就是为自己喜欢的画而买。
Well, that's also a difficult one, but I think it's important for us not to forget what we really love and what we really like. For me, when I collect art, the first things I see is if I like it or not, if this affects me, if I can see it every day, if when I come home I'll see it, if it's in my home, or when I go to work I'll see it. Does it do something for me? That's very important, and that's very critical, or the basis on which I acquire my art. And second factor, of course, is the investment property. A lot of people consider that important. Of course it is important because art is expensive, and you'd like to feel that somehow, at least your investment might be safe. But I think should be very secondary. It's a consideration, no doubt, but if we take that as our primary, I think we lose the true meaning of art and what art means to us. And
how has your family members embraced your art collecting?
I think as so long as you keep them happy by buying them stuff, I think we are okay. Yeah, generally okay with that. Yeah, and if I buy this stuff, make sure I'm the one doing the necessary cleaning as well.
I think for me, it's as long as I fund it entirely, I think they're okay with it.
For me, I guess it's just don't disclose how much you pay. Everything is fine.
Yeah.